On the peaceful morning of September 11, 2001, the skies above United States were clear and bright. It seemed like an ordinary Tuesday. Millions of Americans woke up early for work, students prepared for school, and busy cities slowly came to life. Welcome to Xfinity Evolution, where history comes alive and legends are reborn. In New York City, the streets were already crowded. Yellow taxis moved through traffic, coffee shops filled with workers, and thousands of people entered the towering World Trade Center. For many, it was just another normal day. No one knew that history was about to change forever. Inside the Twin Towers were office workers, businessmen, restaurant employees, janitors, tourists, and emergency staff. People laughed with coworkers, checked emails, made phone calls, and planned meetings for the day ahead. Then suddenly, at 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower. The explosion shook Lower Manhattan. Fire burst through multiple floors. Black smoke climbed into the sky. People on the streets froze in shock, staring upward in complete disbelief. At first, confusion filled the city. Many believed it had been a tragic accident. News reporters struggled to understand what had happened. Emergency services rushed toward the building while terrified civilians ran through the streets. But only 17 minutes later, another hijacked plane appeared in the sky. United Airlines Flight 175 slammed directly into the South Tower in front of live television cameras. The massive fireball exploded across the building. Millions watching around the world suddenly realized the horrifying truth. People in offices stopped working. Schools turned on televisions. Families desperately tried to call loved ones trapped inside the towers. Some calls went through. Mothers spoke to daughters for the last time. Husbands called their wives to say goodbye. Friends left emotional voicemails that would later become heartbreaking memories for their families. Inside the towers, smoke filled the stairways. Thousands of people desperately searched for exits. Many helped injured strangers escape. Others carried coworkers down endless flights of stairs. And while civilians tried to get out, firefighters and police officers rushed in. Hundreds of first responders entered the burning towers knowing the danger ahead. Some climbed more than 80 floors carrying heavy equipment. Others helped injured people walk to safety. They did not stop. They did not hesitate. They chose courage over fear. Meanwhile, across America, more horrifying news arrived. At 9:37 a.m., another hijacked plane crashed into the Pentagon. The headquarters of the American military was now burning. Air traffic across the entire country was shut down. For the first time in history, American airspace became almost completely empty. But the nightmare was not over yet. A fourth plane, United Flight 93, had also been hijacked. Passengers on board learned about the earlier attacks through phone calls. They understood what the hijackers intended to do. And then, ordinary people made an extraordinary decision. Instead of waiting helplessly, they fought back. Passengers and crew members charged the hijackers in a desperate attempt to stop another attack. The plane crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. Everyone on board lost their lives. But investigators later believed their bravery likely prevented another devastating strike on America's capital. Back in New York, the situation inside the towers became catastrophic. Flames spread rapidly. Heat weakened the steel structures. Smoke covered the skyline. Then, at 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. Millions watched live as the massive skyscraper crumbled into dust within seconds. People screamed and ran through clouds of ash. Firefighters, police officers, office workers, all disappeared beneath the collapse. Only 29 minutes later, the North Tower also fell. The symbol of New York's skyline was gone. The silence afterward was haunting. Entire streets were buried under smoke and rubble. Cars were abandoned. Families stood frozen, unable to process what had just happened. Nearly 3,000 innocent people were killed that day. Victims came from over 90 countries. People of different religions, cultures, and backgrounds lost their lives together. The attacks became one of the deadliest acts of terrorism in modern history. But among the tragedy, countless untold stories of heroism emerged. One firefighter continued rescuing civilians despite severe burns. A group of coworkers refused to leave behind a man in a wheelchair and carried him down dozens of floors together. Boat captains near Manhattan helped evacuate hundreds of thousands of stranded people from the island. Doctors, nurses, volunteers, and ordinary citizens worked nonstop to save lives. Even complete strangers showed kindness to one another. Restaurants gave away food for free. Families searched hospitals all night hoping to find missing loved ones alive. America was grieving, but America was also united. In the days that followed, candlelight vigils appeared across the country. Thousands gathered to pray for the victims. American flags covered homes, bridges, and streets. People who had never met hugged one another in public. For many Americans, life would never feel the same again. Children grew up without parents. Fire stations lost entire teams of firefighters. Families waited for loved ones who would never return home. The emotional scars of 9/11 lasted far beyond that single day. Airport security became stricter. America launched what became known as the War on Terror. Years later, the site where the Twin Towers once stood became the National September 11th Memorial and Museum. Today, water falls endlessly into the memorial pools built in the footprints of the towers. The names of every victim are carefully engraved in stone. Families still visit the memorial carrying flowers and photographs. Many continue to honor birthdays of loved ones who never came home. And every year, on September 11th, America pauses to remember. Moments of silence are observed. Church bells ring. Names are read aloud one by one. Because behind every number was a human story. A father, a daughter, a firefighter, a teacher, a friend. The attacks of 9/11 were meant to spread fear and destruction. But they also revealed something powerful about the American people. Strength, unity, resilience. Even during one of the darkest moments in its history, United States refused to break. And more than 2 decades later, the memories of September 11th, 2001 continue to remind the world that courage can still rise, even through smoke, fear, and unimaginable loss. If you want to understand how history is unfolding before our eyes, don't miss what comes next. Revisit Xfinity Evolution for deeper insights and powerful stories. Stay informed, stay curious, and join us again on Xfinity Evolution, where the world's biggest events come into focus.